All right, it is that time. Here we go. It's time to make some bets. It's time to make some picks. It's time to pick some winners. Welcome everyone to Odd Chopper, specifically picking the first round matchups across college basketball. We've already done a bracket show, so let's get this right off the bat. If you're looking for bracket picks, me and Mr. Gajewski right here, we already did that. We went through it. It's on this channel. But if you're looking for spreads, against the spreads, who to take in round one, this is where you want to be. We're going to go through every matchup that we know and pick some teams. I want to ask you right off the top, Matt, how do you feel? The lines have just dropped. We're doing this early in the week. I assume you expect some of these can and will move.
Yeah, absolutely. This is non-conference all over again, which is awesome because we're dealing with different levels of competition. And I think that creates a big edge, not to mention more public money than we generally have in some of these markets. So that can potentially create leverage spots if there's public teams, injuries people don't know about, and just situations they're not paying attention to. So I'm excited to get into it.
That's what we're going to do right now. If you're joining us for the first time, hit the like button, subscribe. Trust me, you want to be here for March Madness. I'm going to talk about all the deals, talk about Odd Chopper, everything we got going on here. But let's dive into the games. We got a bunch to get to. And we're going to start. We're just going to go in order of the games in terms of time. First one, a competitive 8-9 matchup. We've got West Virginia and Maryland. You look here on our Odd Chopper compare tool. You see every book is about 2.5 point spread. Maryland is the underdog. Are you grabbing a couple points, or do you think West Virginia covers the number?
I grabbed a couple points with Maryland. I actually bet this myself already. I think they're the more balanced team overall. They're stronger on defense than West Virginia. They're 61st in defensive efficiency. West Virginia is 138th. And the primary weakness they have is on the interior, where they're 194th. Now, Maryland's not the largest team, but they've actually seen a lot of improvement from Julian Reese this year, and they always get good minutes out of Dante Scott on the inside, not to mention Jameer Young. So I think they're the more balanced team, whereas West Virginia relies on a lot of just the sheer shot creation from Eric Stevenson, and then they rely on Trey Mitchell to clean it up. I think this is a spot where Maryland should probably be favored, but you're getting them.
Yeah, getting a couple points never hurts. Minus 110 across the board. So we're going to grab the points with the Terps. Now, sneaky matchup here. I think we all know, if you've seen me blabber on about Furman, I love this team. They are 5.5 at most books, point underdog against Virginia. This is one of those sneaky games. Can they do enough to cause the upset? Do you have interest in grabbing the points, or is too much defense for Virginia?
I think this one is pretty efficient for the most part. Maybe looking at an under here because Virginia plays so slow, but Furman is still number 4 in offensive efficiency in the country. The one thing I don't like is that they really try to shoot into the strength of the Virginia defense. They're number 1 in 2-point percentage. Virginia is really strong on the interior, 37th there in defense. And then Furman's going to shoot a ton of threes, but they don't shoot them that well, which could lend itself towards the other here. But you've watched this Furman team a little more than me, so I'll lean on you in this spot if you've a strong
I do
take.
like taking the points here. I think you can really look towards them. The thing I like about Furman is, and you've talked about this with me a little bit, some of their best scorers are matchup problems. They're big, they're long, they can stretch, they can put pressure on the defense. They're not reliant on overly one guy or a gimmick type of offense. I do agree the strength of Virginia's defense is where Furman wants to attack, but they got through some big teams, and Chattanooga gave them all they can handle. I like Furman. They're an experienced bunch. I think if you can get 5.5, you're going to see this start to come down into the 5s. You mentioned the under. If it's a very low scoring game, those points are extremely pertinent. So I'm gonna take Furman in this spot. 2 dogs through 2 games. Will we make it 3 for 3? Another 7-10, Utah State and Missouri. Missouri likes to jack up threes, but they really get exposed on the glass at times. Are you taking the points with Missouri, or you think Utah State from the Mountain West covers?
This is one I would take it if you can get that good line. Unfortunately for me, in an illegal state, I can't hit that lone 2.5 that FanDuel's hanging out there. I would take that, or honestly, the 2 for points bet at minus 110 is maybe even a little bit better when you factor in effective juice there. But difference level in competition, these teams are wildly different teams. Utah State wins through the interior. They're not the best team scoring either. But Missouri, they're a team that shoots a ton of threes, and they shoot them well. Not to mention, they do have Kobe Brown on the interior, who I think is strong enough in terms of level of competition to stop what Utah State has in terms of some of their bigs. And again, Utah State still doesn't play with anyone really above 6'9". They have 3 players above 6'8", but even like Taylor Funk gets in foul trouble all the time here. So I'm going to back Missouri. I think them as a slight dog. We're 3 for 3 on dogs so far, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Dogs are barking. And yeah, actually, and just showing this, Our friends at Caesars, that's where you're going to do it. Plus 2.5 and minus 110. We save it. They're on the FanDuel routine of just hanging some lines that are going to give you some interest. So 3 dogs through 3 games. Now, the 4th game, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say here, and I'm going to say the same thing. So we'll just give a lean. I have no interest in betting Howard or Kansas. It's a 21.5 point spread. I don't see any way that Howard makes it a game. But whether Kansas wins by 18 or 25, I have no idea. Do you have any angle in this game?
I kind of want to bet Howard.
Okay.
And again, I don't think they're going to win this game by any means, but Howard ranks 31st in 3-point percentage in the country. This is a team that can shoot threes. That leaves a lot of things open to you. Potential backdoors. Maybe they just play closer than you'd think by hitting some of their threes. But this team can shoot, and it's about all they can do because they're terrible on the interior, which is a strength for sure on the Kansas side. But is that 3-point shooting enough for them to keep it close? Howard also plays at the speed of light. Yeah. They have average 73.2 possessions per game. That's way above average. So they do a lot of weird things. They're a chaotic team. They force a ton of turnovers. I think they do enough to keep it within 21, but I'm not looking at any sort of money lines.
No, but there we go. All right, you know what? Maybe, and this is why you're watching the video, we might pick all dogs. I don't know what's going to happen. We're on the dog train right now. I like it. Getting some points in some of these games, and I do think it's that kind of bracket. This one, though, I don't know. We've got Charleston and San Diego State. This is a 12-5 matchup. It's bouncing between 5 and 5.5 at most books. You see it on the screen there. Charleston, talk about wanting to play at the speed of light and jack up threes against San Diego State and their anti-offense. Clash of styles. Which style wins out here?
So I bet this game, but I bet it at 4.5 in favor of San Diego State. Just when I cross-referenced this with my model last night, it was one that was clearly going to move. I actually don't really like San Diego State or Charleston long-term here, but it was just a sheer number on the points. And the reason why you do that is you open yourself to a lot of ways you can guarantee yourself profit. You can maybe middle numbers, hedge opportunities. So a lot of reasons why you just want to attack the number rather than the team right away. I do think San Diego State has advantages. You mentioned that this team can't score. Charleston also can't self-evaluate. They throw up threes like crazy. They're not good at shooting them. And they're facing an elite defense. I think this is a low-scoring, grinded-out, volatile matchup. But I got a good number, so that's where I'll stay. If I had to bet it, I would look at San Diego State. But this is, out of the ones we've talked about, the one that I have the least interest in so far.
There's some 5s at minus 110s. I think that's fine. If you're building some type of like moneyline parlay pieces, I do think San Diego State wins this game. But of course, you're going to be paying for that. That's all things that you can shop and look around here at OddsShopper, and we'll get into the tools in a little bit. But for me, I would lay the points. This is the first game where I do lean to the favorite. But if we ordered the 28 games, this one would be towards the bottom of my preference list. Princeton and Arizona, a 15 and a 2. Again, shout out to Princeton. Now, they got to play the conference tournament on their home floor, but they did knock off Yale. I don't know what they can do against Arizona, but we're talking about a double-digit spread here. What do you make of the 13 to 14.5? You're getting some discrepancies in the few books that have this available.
I'd take the 13.5 if it was available. 14.5 on my end, so I still might take it. A little rich, but I don't see how Princeton really handles Arizona whatsoever. First of all, teams that play Arizona are going to have to defend both Tubelis and Ballo, essentially 2 7-footers. Princeton's 235th in height. Massive, massive disadvantage there. And Arizona's weakness on offense is they can be a little loose with the ball. They're 270th in turnovers. Princeton doesn't generate any turnovers whatsoever on defense. And then Arizona can beat you inside and from 3. They still are 14th in the country in 3-point percentage. I'd lay the points with Arizona with the favorable number.
I would as well. I'm with you there. Again, not one of my favorite bets, but too much firepower. Arizona can get in transition. They have 2 absolute monster bigs. Princeton just going to be overmatched in the spot. I don't think this one is even close. Illinois and Arkansas, this should be close. An 8-9. Man, I know Illinois brought in a ton of transfers and see how it gelled. I don't think it was a great success. They made the tournament, but to me, I have more interest laying 2.5 with Arkansas, with Nick Smith and co. I know they're not ever going to be fully healthy, but they got a lot of firepower on that Razorback team. What do you make of this exciting matchup?
This is a great matchup, great real-life game. Not a ton of interest betting. My first instinct, was to maybe look towards the under because both teams are outside the top 100 in offense. Both teams are right around the top 30 in defense. Both teams play a little above average in terms of pace. But then at the end of the day, my model's showing value towards the over, so that just counteracts my intuition right away. I think if you actually get these teams shooting enough, maybe an over is the play. But ultimately, I'm not going to bet this game unless the number gets crazy. If I had to touch it right now, it would be Arkansas. Right now, they're 18th in shot selection, and they're just not hitting their shots. They're 49th in 2-point percentage, 304 in 3-point percentage. So due for some positive regression. Pretty bad shooting team, but pretty athletic nonetheless. Nick Smith being back is also
they get in transition. I think they're going to cause problems. Arkansas cannot shoot. I'll give you that. I definitely like them a little more than you right now. I'm comfortable at 2.5 at -110. Another competitive, another 8-9. Auburn and Iowa. We talked about this over on the bracket show, which again, you can check out on this channel. You've got Iowa's atrocious defense against Auburn's atrocious offense and vice versa. Do you lean to the Tigers or you lean to the Hawkeyes?
I had to institute a rule at the end of the year to stop betting the Big Ten.
That's a smart rule.
I'm already taking Maryland, and I might take Iowa if we get more points. So I'm waiting for a better number here. Iowa is one of the unluckiest teams in the country, so they're fortunate to make the tournament. When you look at teams that make the tournament and then like cross-reference with their shot quality record, most of them have been pretty lucky. But Iowa is one of the few teams that actually should have won more games than they did. They're 80th in shot selection, but 326th in shot making. Just unbelievable negative regression for this team in the year, which is now due for some positivity. Really tight matchups. I don't feel strongly about this, and that's why I want a better number. But right now, given the spread, it would be Iowa or pass.
You can get 1.5 out there. You do have to lay a little extra juice, but BetMGM has +1.5 at -115. Keep an eye on it. Maybe some money comes in on Auburn. It ticks to 2. Not a game that's on my card right now. I don't really have a strong take. Should be competitive. Maybe a game I'd hit live when I see what's going on. And of course, live betting is one of the many reasons that you want to be part of the community here, talking through some things, because that is an ugly matchup. But, look at this. A lot of love. I know this team has had success in the tournament, but a lot of love for Oral Roberts as a 12 seed. 6.5-point underdog against Duke, who is surging, freshman-led team that's getting better with every game. What do you do here between a high-powered Oral Roberts offense and obviously a public team in Duke?
Honestly, it kind of seems like Oral Roberts is the public team.
Yeah, that
here.
might
I know
be
Duke
true, honestly.
is the blue blood. What was your take on this? I kind of think Oral Roberts is the public team.
I mean, everyone remembers them. I think that Duke has really hit their stride, and it's not just Filipowski on the inside. I trust Roach. I trust Proctor. They've got other dudes lively. I mean, this is a team that I think really is going to clamp down. And I'm not, Oral Roberts, we know what they can do. They can score in bunches. They can shoot their threes. I think this is a pretty bad spot. I would lay the 6.5 at -105.
I'm going to play Duke. I'm going to wait, though, because I want to see where this number moves a little bit. If there's any inclination it's going to jump to 7, I'm going to hit the current number. But maybe we could get Oral Roberts taking some money. And this is such an unfortunate round 1 matchup for Oral Roberts. Like, this team rocks. They're tall. They have Connor Vanover, the Arkansas transfer. He's 7'5". Like, in a different matchup, in a different world, I would be probably picking Oral Roberts to the Sweet 16. I think this is a tough spot, though, against Duke. And, man, as deep and as tall as Duke is, their team I'm going to back, and that includes against the spread here. I'll have a Duke play, just not sure what the final number is going to end up being when I take it.
And one more thing, again, I think Duke is the type of team you want to explore. If you're looking for moneyline parlays, I think they're a pretty good moneyline parlay piece. I at 6.5, that spread could come into play, but I do think that they're going to win that game. Of course, you have to shop it and get the right number, but keep that in mind. Colgate, talk about 3-point shooting. You don't want to mess around with the Raiders, but man, Texas has got dudes. It's 13.5. Basically everywhere except DraftKings is 14. Which side of this game are you on in the 215?
Not one I bet. One I want to see still. Again, you mentioned it. Colgate number 1 in 3-point percentage in the country. If you are just dabbling with money line underdogs and looking for a big payout, this is the kind of team I want to back, especially considering Texas is 96th in 3-point defense. And it's not like Colgate is reliant on just the 3 either. This team is 57th in height. They're 7th in scoring on the interior. The main thing is here, you just don't have the level of competition for Colgate. So yeah, they've excelled, but against whom? Meanwhile, Texas has played the best of the best. They're getting healthier with Timmy Allen back. One I want to stay away from now, I'm interested in Colgate with the +13. May end up taking this. And maybe we'll even take an over here because I think Colgate can score regardless.
Yeah, I believe, and I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say, and I'm pretty confident that Colgate drew Arkansas in recent years in their bracket, and it was a game.
They had Wisconsin last year.
And you see some weird stuff with them because of their firepower. So I don't mind that. Again, towards the bottom, I would take the points, though, even though Texas, I'd be very shocked if Texas ultimately didn't win the game. Of course, is a 14-point favorite, but don't be surprised if Colgate hangs around. Next game up is a complete opposite. This is a pseudo pick'em. We've got both, and this just shows the power, by the way, of Odd Chopper. Not to take a tangent here, but look at this. If you shop this line, you can get either team as the underdog. You've got +1 and +1.5, depending on where you're shopping. Now, you are laying juice on either side, but that is extremely powerful. So you can take either team as the dog. Who do you think wins the game?
I want Boise State as the dog.
Me too. +1.
I like Northwestern. They're very strong defensively. That's their best strength here. But they also have a weakness on defense. They're 168th against the three. Boise State, 81st in three-point percentage. They're an awesome three-point shooting team. And I'm only really worried about the interior. But honestly, Boise State has gotten it done even though they lack height. They have a strong rebounding advantage over Northwestern despite being the shorter team here. So a lot of times Northwestern's not playing to their size. And again, they're just horrific on offense. They can't score on the interior or from the perimeter. And Boise's actually a good defense too. Top 35 unit there, so they're not ceding a ton.
I like the Mountain West. Northwestern's defense is extremely strong, there's no doubt, but I think Boise State can do some things to cause some problems. I would take Boise State. Give me the point, no problem. You can obviously take them on the money line, save a little vig, no problem with that either. The Norse, my team of my youth, Northern Kentucky. They've been sacrificed to Houston, 19.5 to 18.5. Again, this is why you need to shop this. What do you see in this spread? Are you going to lay nearly 20 points? Or are you going to take nearly 20 points?
I'm thinking about taking it with Houston. I think there's a chance Northern Kentucky scores like 26 points in the entire game.
Wow. Yeah. It's sad, isn't it?
This team is horrible on offense. They're outside the top 150 in overall offensive efficiency. They're outside the top 200 in effective field goal percentage, and they're running into the best defense in the country.
Not to mention, because I have seen Northern Kentucky quite a bit, on top of all that, if you look at tempo statistics, they play crazy slow too. So this is the type of game you could look up and it's like 22-6 with 8 minutes to go in the first half. And you're just like, this could be bad. I think you're assuming as well that Sasser is going to play in this game.
I think he'll play. I don't think he gets full minutes. But then again, I'm not sure anyone gets full minutes in this game. And I don't know if they need to.
Tough scene for the Norse. If you're going to back them, you're going to back them on Houston. You're going to back them on Caesars at -18.5 at -110. You're stealing a full point and you're not paying a cent more juice. Honestly, it's a perfect time because these spreads have been bouncing around. I do want to mention, if you're watching this video and you're saying, what is OddsShop? This is the tools that we have here as part of the community with OddsShop. If you're looking to see this, if you are looking to actually shop bets and see where's the ROI, where are the books making mistakes, all of this is available to you for the bracket for free. A free trial for a week. You can come in 100% free for the week. All you have to do is click the link below in this video. I know a ton of you have already signed up, but for people who have just found us for March Madness, come on in and hang out and join and search for bets, for angles, for sides, for totals. Look at this. It comes right up. You can sort by ROI, X win percentage, our personal OS bet percentage. We have everything that you need to hopefully make it a very successful tournament. And that is big opportunities all across the board, shopping it with a market-based approach. Again, come in for the week, a free trial. The risk is zero and the reward could be great if you enjoy the tool. So can't say that enough. Get that free trial. Best week to do it is the March Madness week. Let's get back to these games because we've got plenty of them. Next up, I've seen some people say that Louisiana Lafayette can cause some problems here. They're a double-digit underdog, 10.5 points against Tennessee. What do you make of this matchup?
I think people are overreacting to Zakai Ziegler being injured. Tennessee's been injured all year. Not to him, but they haven't had Josiah Jordan-James. They've had Julian Phillips out. They've had a lot of players injured on this team throughout the year, and they've been able to overcome and still get the seed that they are. I didn't bet it myself, but I'm debating Tennessee on the spread. The reason I have it is you're hearing talking heads around the industry essentially saying Louisiana should be one of the most popular upset picks. None of them actually considering taking Louisiana like plus 450 on the money line. Would love to see them do that, but it's Tennessee or pass. I don't think the absence is as big as people are making it out.
If it dips to like 9.5, I assume you'll be interested to fire. Okay.
Yes.
Next game up, this is one of my favorite bets. Particularly, there's a 2.5 out there. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite, 3 at most books. I like Texas A&M. They were really good in the SEC. They got an alpha point guard. And I'll let you talk about Penn State because I know that they've been a pain point for you all year. I'm going to lay the points with the Aggies here.
Yeah, I took the 3 already. Not 2.5, not available in my state, unfortunately. But grab it if you can. And Penn State, luckiest team in the tournament to be here. They have a 15-8 shot quality record. So based on the actual shots taken on the floor, this team should be 15-18 this season, excuse me. And they should have been 0-3 in their tournament games leading up to the Purdue matchup. They were very lucky to win each and every single one of them based on an offense where Jalen Pickett walks the ball up the floor, turns his back to the basket, and slowly backs his way towards the hoop. Sounds like it shouldn't be that hard to defend, but then again, Indiana and all these teams have found ways to lose to Penn State. Texas A&M will.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. But man, I just Texas A&M is a team that I thought is underseeded. They got a bad draw being a 7. I thought they were better than that. I think they show it here. So put A&M on my card. 15-2. UNC Asheville against UCLA. We know UCLA's depth hasn't been great lately due to injuries. I'm not sure it comes to fruition here. 17.5, 18-point spread. What do you make of it?
I'll probably stay away from it just because UCLA is a team that it would behoove them to rest some players. Like Adam Bona, I think, is going to play, but he's playing through an injury. David Singleton's been injured in recent weeks. Jalen Clark is out for the year, so that doesn't matter. But they're not the deepest team. Oh, and Kenneth Nwuba has been injured as well. Just a lot of reasons, like you could see them taking their foot off the gas and a backdoor being open for Asheville. So I guess to play it, if you have to, it's Asheville or pass.
And I will say that UNC Asheville has an elite player. Drew Pember is really good. He averages over 20 a game. I know you know him. It's
former Tennessee product. And can he carry them to victory? I would say no. Can he keep it respectable? I would say yes. I think a lot of these teams have a real chance to do just that. Okay, we just knocked out the Thursday games. Now we got the Friday games to go. But before I do that, I do want to say, if you're betting a lot of these games, what's the easiest thing to do is to get extra money to do just that. And the easy way to do that, sign up for these books. Take advantage of them. I got to give a shout out. Listen cleverly. If you're in New Jersey, Colorado, Virginia, or Ohio, stop what you're doing and do this because it doesn't get better than this. Bet365 is in your state. Bet365 has the best offer out there, bar none. All it is, if you're in those states, is deposit $10. Take $1, a single dollar and bet it. And you're going to get $365 in bet credits automatically. I mean, come on now. That could carry you for the whole tournament. So if you're in those states, it does not get simpler than that. Great opportunity to do that. If you're not in those states, like me, I'm in New York. There are still offers across the board. The links are in the description of this video. So take advantage. There's so many games out there. It wouldn't hurt to have an extra couple $100 in the bankroll to do just that. You got to be 21 plus. Play responsive. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But shout out to them. Let's go to the next set of games. We'll go to the 17th. Not as many because we can't do the playing games, but keep an eye on that. Certainly, Matt's going to have you covered with videos each and every day. We start with USC and Michigan State. Michigan State's a slight 1.5 to 2 point favorite. Spartans or minor upset with the Trojans? I like the minor upset with the Trojans. Michigan State is incompetent on the interior. Can't defend there whatsoever. They rank 279th in interior defense. And that's also how they try to run their offense. They try to run it through Joey Hauser. Meanwhile, they're 4th in the country in three-point percentage, but they rank 292nd in three-point attempts. Izzo's losing it, man. USC strong on defense, decent on offense, decent enough to take advantage of that bad Michigan State interior. All back.
Yeah, Pac-12 a lot of times doesn't get maybe I'm not gonna say the respect they deserve, but some of these teams that people haven't seen as much can cause some problems. Michigan State will be a public side, so you can find 2 out there at a couple different books if you want to take the points. Kennesaw State, first appearance for the Owls against Xavier, 10.5 at FanDuel, 11 at a couple other books, and then 11.5 at a bunch of books. So you're getting a wide spread. I'm looking to lay the points with Xavier. What are you looking to do?
Same. This Kennesaw State team had 2 top 100 wins all year, came against Liberty. They had no other wins against top 50 teams. Pretty tough. Don't know how they match up against Xavier. Battling Nunji and the guards doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Xavier has a super efficient offense. Kennesaw State doesn't play at a snail's pace. They don't play at a crazy fast tempo. They play fast enough that they're going to get exposed. I think Xavier can hang 85 to 90 points in this game. I don't know what Kennesaw can do to stop them. So give me Xavier. I'll take the 10.5, obviously. Even though you're paying a little extra juice, you can shop that. Or honestly, give me the 11 at -112. That's even better. UCSB, the Gauchos, they come out. They are not UC Irvine. They're not Fullerton. Some of the other teams that maybe were expected to get here, they take on Baylor. Baylor, it's the same type of spread, 11 to 12 point favorite. They've got George, they've got Flagler, they've got Cryer. Is it too much 3-point shooting from Baylor, or can UCSB hang in?
I think it's too much 3-point shooting. USB is 217th in 3-point defense, so obviously a massive advantage for Baylor there. But USB doesn't play anybody all year. They only played one team in the top 100 all season long, and that was that was Irvine, the team that should have made it from this conference. So, I mean, really, really tough to evaluate them. What do their efficiency numbers even mean when you haven't played anyone in the top 100?
It's a tough ask for them. I'm with you. I'm not saying it's a super lopsided spread by any stretch, but it's Baylor or pass in this spot. This is a much more competitive game. VCU and St. Mary's. VCU is going to be a popular 12 pick in brackets. They looked really good against Dayton. They're the A10 champs. St. Mary's is a weird team to evaluate because they've got 3 games against Gonzaga. And what else do they have? Having said that, they're a 3.5 point favorite at every single book. Do you agree with that? And where's your money going?
Yeah, I was seeing VCU take some money here. I like St. Mary's. I'm going to wait, though, in case VCU continues taking more money. I think the reason VCU maybe takes money is because the total is so low. It's 122.5. So laying any sort of points with a total that low is a bit risky. But ultimately, St. Mary's is far more balanced. Both these teams are elite on defense, but VCU 161 on offense. St. Mary's is still 35th. So they're far more balanced, and they're actually efficient in both regards. 45th in the country in 3-point percentage. If there's any weakness to VCU's defense, it's their 3-point defense. They're outside the top 100 there. And then you also have a massive rebounding advantage St. Mary's way. I'll lay the points, but I'll wait to get the best number. Maybe you can find like a 3 if you wait.
Yeah, you definitely might be able to, because this has come way down. It was at 5.5. It's crashed down to 3.5. Maybe there'll be buyback, but it could push to 3. So keep an eye on that if you want to lay the points with the Gales. Vermont and Marquette, the team for you. You wear the hat. You've been to the games. You take on the Catamounts. Double-digit favorites from Marquette. Are you seeing any 15-2 upset here, or do you think Marquette just rolls through them?
Yeah, so when I ran my model last night, there were like 3 games that stood out as ones that were clearly going to have line movement. This is one of them. So I took Marquette -10, just very lucky to get the fortunate number there. I think 10.5 is fine, though. You're not dealing with too much movement at that point. This team is just awesome across the board, and I think for advantages they have here, for Vermont, they're a team that is pretty good at taking care of the ball, but I don't think they face a team like Marquette that's going to really pressure you the way that they will. Vermont does not have a height advantage. You know, Marquette can potentially be had against teams that have good size. And even then, they've improved drastically at facing those teams, evidenced by what they just did to Nunji. But Vermont is 327th in height. They don't play with height. Marquette plays a small lineup, so that's not really an advantage. And Marquette actually maybe has a rebounding advantage in this spot. With all that said, Marquette just can create so many different ways to score. They're a good 3-point shooting team. They're actually top 5 in the country at 2-point percentage. What they lack in height, they make up for in court movement and finding extra passes and abilities to open direct paths to the basket. No issues with the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, they're just incredibly talented team. We saw what they did in the Big East tournament. It's going to be tough. Vermont makes it every year. I don't think this is the matchup for them, though. So as much as some of these double-digit favorites, it's always tough to cover those numbers in a tournament setting on a neutral floor with awkward shooting. I think Marquette is really poised to do some damage, and I don't think they are tested even remotely here. Moving down, NC State and Creighton. Creighton is a team, full disclosure, I have tickets for them to win the whole thing. I think that Creighton's extremely dangerous. NC State at time, their offense looks extremely dangerous. But what do you make of this? It's a 5.5 point spread in favor of the Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, I was wondering where the line was going to move, so I hesitated. Wish I had
Me
taken
too.
Creighton then. But now at 5.5, it's a little less enticing. But man, I just don't see much of a path for NC State here. They're horrific inside. You're facing Kaluma and Kalkbrenner, and a fully healthy Kalkbrenner at that. So rebounding advantage, Creighton's direction, massive advantage on the interior. So basically, you're trying to stop like the 3-point shooting of Turk Swift and Jarquel Joyner. Creighton's not the best at defending the three, but I mean, this is one of the streakiest offenses in the country on the other side. I'll back Creighton here. Don't love the number, but I think it's okay.
Another team that I think you can look to in moneyline parlays. I feel pretty confident that Creighton's going to get the job done here. I would lay the 5 at -112 over at Bet Rivers if I had to bet this. It's not on my card currently. I have interest in Creighton. You mentioned them. I like Nemart. I like Scheiderman. They have everything that you can do or need. It's just not always the cleanest performance, but I think they're going to look pretty damn good against NC State. So that's where I'm going. Oof. Okay. Little Northeast matchup. Iona. Rick Pitino's squad against UConn and the monsters that they have on the inside. Deep team. It's not as high as some of those other ones, but it's still a 9.5 point spread. Are you smelling upset, or do you think that UConn just slowly and methodically wears them down?
Yeah, I think UConn wears them down. The difference in competition is huge here. Iona should have had a lot more losses this year, and considering the tournament they play in and the conference they play in, that's not really any excuse. UConn, pretty good size advantage here. They're second in the country in rebounding. Iona's 144th. UConn inside the top 100 in both 3-point percentage and 2-point percentage. Iona can't score inside. They're reliant on the three. They don't even take a ton of them, so they try to force the ball inside quite a bit. Just kind of an erratic offense that's going to be exposed in the tournament. They play in a very weak conference.
Really weak conference. I've seen some of their games. It's not a good level of competition. It's funny. We start out with all dogs, and now we're on a good favorites run. That's just kind of how the board played out here. But I think a lot of these, 3-14s, 15-2s, whatever, are not going to be overly competitive this year. Maybe a couple. There's still a couple we have to get to, but I'm with you with UConn. Give me the -9 at -110. One of the stranger matchups to start the tournament is Kentucky and Providence, 6-11. 3.5 point spread for Kentucky. They got knocked off by St. Peter's last year. This wouldn't be even close to the same level of upset, but are you smelling upset, or you think Kentucky gets it done?
I'm looking at the injuries on Kentucky. I think I might side with the total more than the spread. It's around 145.5. I'd look towards the under. The pace projects to be neutral here. With Kentucky, you have so many concerns. First of all, you're going to play through Oscar Tshiebwe. Cason Wallace has been injured down the stretch. Xavier Wheeler hasn't played in weeks. And then CJ Frederick, how much is he going to give you dealing with that rib injury he's had all season long? They're walking wounded, but with that said, they're better than Providence when they're fully healthy. You also have to deal with, Coach Cal is going to find ways to bench Oscar Tshiebwe. Like if he gets 2 fouls, he's heading to the bench regardless of their depth. So, I mean, this is probably, along with maybe the San Diego State game, one of the games I'm least interested in.
Tough game as well. In brackets, I took Kentucky, but 3.5 points feels about right. It would be a pass for me. If you have to pick every game, I would lay the points, but I don't even want to spend time on that and listen, spreads, we'll see what adjusts. I don't understand the next spread at all. Drake in Miami, it's 2.5 everywhere. The Hurricanes are one of my first clicks in the betting market. I know there's some injury status that we have to monitor, but to me, Miami is a far superior team, and I'm stunned this isn't more in the Creighton bucket of like -5.
Agreed. Norchad Omir's status is the big thing here. People are already ruling him out. That's not guaranteed. And then from there, this team almost beat Duke without him. So, I mean, you tell me. Drake hasn't played anybody this year. I'll back Miami at the just depressed spread.
Really don't get it. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite bets on the board. Grand Canyon, the Antelopes, awesome team, bad matchup. Gonzaga scores at will. They don't play defense, but Gonzaga can hang 80 or 90 in every single game. 15.5 point spread. There's a couple 16s out there if you want to grab the points. What do you want to do with this spot?
Maybe look at an over. This Grand Canyon team is 23rd in the country in 3-point percentage. Gonzaga's 12th. Gonzaga still has Timmy. Grand Canyon cannot defend the interior. They're 171st in 2-point percentage on offense. Their interior height is only 250th. So it's a team that's going to probably struggle to defend Timmy. but they could probably shoot over the top a little bit themselves. I think for a side, it's Gonzaga or pass.
156.5 is out there. So if you're saying in the games played, if Gonzaga hangs, that's a lot of points, but Gonzaga could hang 90 to 95 on their own.
Yeah, the pace does not project to be good, so maybe that's a stay away too. I think Gonzaga or pass.
Look at another game. Again, look at these spreads that have massive differences. Florida Atlantic and Memphis. You've got FAU +3 over on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, you have Memphis -1.5. So you've got some opportunities there. I know. FanDuel does some things. Now, they do juice it a little. There's no doubt about that. But, man, what do you make of FAU who's had a great year? They have 30-plus wins already against an electric Memphis team.
Yeah, with such a big difference, I'd try to lock yourself into a profit some way if you can do that. Maybe you could find money lines across the board to bet both sides of this. But yeah, I would probably arb it if you can. If you're picking a side here, like I actually like Memphis -1.5. I like FAU +3. I think this is around the efficient number. And if you have a really strong opinion on either side, I would just shop the absolute hell out of this.
I would as well. For me, I lean towards Memphis. You can find -2 at -110. That's the number that I would settle on over at Caesars. It's a great opportunity, and these lines are going to move. So keep an eye on it. Again, it's why you want to get your free trial here at OddsShopper to access these tools in real time so they can alert you and tell you, boom, there's value. Go and take it and take advantage. Because once you lock your bet in, you're good to go. And Memphis is the side that I have some interest in. Couple more games before we bounce on out of here. And again, I know we're just going rapid fire here. We will have VOD breakdowns in depth on these matchups as we get closer to tournament time. Montana State, a team that has some experience in the tournament, 8.5-point dogs to Kansas State, who is one of the more impressive teams that was not expected to be here this year.
Yeah, I've seen Montana State get a lot of love, which I don't really understand for the most part. They play in the Big Sky. It's not the best conference. They're 132nd in offensive efficiency, 78th in defense. They're 288th in three-point percentage. They score on the interior. Against Kansas State, that's not a strength or a weakness. It's pretty neutral, but you can't shoot your way back into the games via three. They don't have a height advantage. They're 165th, Kansas State 79th. They don't have a rebounding advantage. They're facing a team in Kansas State that does turn the ball over a lot, but this team is pretty average in forcing turnovers. They get in a ton of foul trouble themselves. I don't really see the upside with Montana State. I would back to Wildcats.
I have really no opinion here. This is the type of game I might get in live if there's a sluggish start. Kansas State's got some dudes. There's no doubt with Noel and Johnson. It feels about right to me. I think it's a pretty efficient line. 8.5. There's an 8 at -115 if you're looking to lay the points. But this is one of the games. This is Friday night, so we've got plenty of time to see what happens to the spread. If it radically deviates, maybe I will take it. We've got one final game, and an interesting one at that. To round out, I will say, though, if you have questions, if you have follow-ups, follow Mr. Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski on Twitter. You can follow me at JazzRazDFS. Give us both a follow. Be people of the community. Why not? You mentioned to me a couple times already that Kent State is a dangerous team, and I think the books are saying Kent State is really dangerous because for a 13 seed, they're only a 4-point underdog against Indiana.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons they could win. I wish they had a slightly better matchup here, but I mean, certainly a path. Indiana is a team that can't handle the press. Kent State will press you. Indiana is just a bunch of morons trying to handle the ball. With that said, they do have ways to win. Like Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis is super efficient inside. This team is 34th in three-point percentage. With that said, Kent State plays awesome defense. They're 21th in the country overall. They're 71st interior, 29th in terms of three-point defense. They force a ton of turnovers, evidenced by their press numbers. The only problem is they can get into foul trouble. Indiana doesn't exactly draw a lot of fouls, though, so I'm not sure how much of a risk that is. With that said, they've already taken so much money that I kind of think you're priced out of playing Kent State. The level of competition is still a concern.
I like Kent State a lot, but you just mentioned I think you're priced out as well. They already took some serious love for where this line opened. If this was 6.5, I would bet Kent State right now, but it's not. I don't know. I think for me, I'm kind of stuck in this game. I'm going to wait and see what happens. I have interest in Kent State. I respect Akron and Toledo. They play Gonzaga. They've done some things. I just don't know. You're 4 points. This is still Trey Jackson Davis and Hood Schifino, elite talents on the Indiana side. So I'd be careful with this one. Tentatively for me, I'm looking to take the points. I just don't want to get 4 points. I'm trying to get better than 5. There it is, friends. Again, 28 games, 28 down, up and down. I can barely speak. It's been a long day already. There are a couple games we couldn't get to because of the playing games, but again, we've got you covered on this very channel. That's why you want to give us a follow, subscribe to this channel on your way out, tell your friends. Let's have a great tournament no matter what you're doing, from brackets to spreads and everything in between. Last thing, as always, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Take advantage of those offers from Bet365 in the books and sign up for your free trial. Don't forget, it's the best week to do it here at OddsShopper Premium. Link in the description below. For me, for Matt, for Chris behind the glass, thanks again. Good luck. Enjoy the first round of the tournament and stay tuned for even more content each and every day.